What's up, everybody? This is Mo Troop here with you. I have an honored guest here today uh, from Youngstown, Ohio. He was a two-time All-American at Westminster College, also a national champion, and now a coach in the Youngstown area. This is Mr. Nate Armstrong. What's up, Nate?
Hey, what's going on, Mo?
How you been, man?
I can't complain, brother. I'm here on the land of the living.
That's it, man. It's good to be here with you, man. And thanks for taking the time out of your schedule to do this
All
interview.
right, no problem. No problem at all.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Let's start. If you could tell us, everybody, what city and what state you grew up in, a little bit about life in the hometown.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. In the on the tough streets of Youngstown. Youngstown was notorious being a little mob town. But really, to be honest, though, if you're not involved with that life, you don't really have to worry about a lot of the dangers that comes with growing up in Youngstown. And for the most part, I stayed away from all that negativity,
Uh,
and I was always involved in sports and music and all that good stuff. So I stayed away from all that craziness that went on, during the time I was growing up in Youngstown.
right. So you hear the stories about different cities, man. One of them you hear about is Youngstown. So is it true? So you kind of saying it's true, like some of the stuff that went on.
It's true what you heard about. It's true. Drugs and we had the mafia had a huge presence in Youngstown, and it's all true. But if you wasn't living that life, you had to deal with the outcomes of living that life.
With the
But
con-
fortunate for me, I stayed away from it.
Right, right. So what about your family? Did you grow up with both parents? Did you grow with one parent, siblings?
My parents, they separated when I was young, so pretty much it was just my mom, my older sister, and older brother, and I'm the youngest of the three.
Oh, okay.
hmm
How did you get into organized sports? Like, and what
Uh,
did you run?
Dude, just my dad, he was a coach for youth football, and my brother was involved, and then, like when my brother and my dad was involved, I was too young, but I was just running around, was
Right,
eager to put on pads. I was always a big dude, so I was too young, but I was big, just as most kids that was already
right,
playing.
right, right, right.
So just for my dad being coaching youth football, that got me involved with wanting to play football.
Oh, okay. So, like in the neighborhood, did y'all play a lot of sports too, like that type of thing?
Yeah, neighborhood, we would play street football where we would tackle on a double strip. We would play basketball, kickball. Most neighborhoods, we would actually have street teams where our street would go play another street team.
Okay.
So, stuff like that, and we would
Yeah,
would
yeah.
pick up football.
hmm Was there strong youth leagues in Youngstown growing up? Was it like you?
Yeah, there was a Vonnie Rogers League. Actually, that's the league where my father started coaching, but I
Okay.
never played because I was too young. And then he decided, he didn't like what was going on, so we moved to another league in Youngstown. It was in the Youngstown area, what most would consider the Caucasian League. But
Right,
my
right.
dad felt that was better suited for me and my brother, so he took us to a different league, and that's where I started off my football career.
Oh, okay. So you move on to high school, and so do you want to tell us what high school you went to, and what high school
Um,
did you go to?
I went to South High School. We were South High Warriors, a very prideful team. But I didn't have very much success there as far as winning games, but I learned a lot about the game of football from my coaches there at South.
Right. Do you remember anything about South? What was it like at South High? Just going to school there. What was that like?
I mean, it was fun because I was involved in a lot when I went to school. I wasn't just involved in football. I participated in track. I was the senior class vice president. I was the vice president of the choir. I was in a show choir called the Youngstown Connection, where we actually toured all over the world. When I was 15 years old, I was walking the streets of Frankfurt, Germany, because of being able to sing and dance. So I just wasn't an athlete. I was also, able to sing a little bit and dance a little bit for a big dude.
Right, 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 right. Any specific games like you remember from Youngstown South?
Uh,
what was the rivalry like amongst the Youngstown City schools? Was that
it was a rivalry, but really between us and East, and also us and Rand. That was, it seemed like we had two rivalries. You know,
okay?
at the time when, you know, we had five high schools in Youngstown, but the two main rivalries that I would say was East and Rand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What,
and
like different sides of town, or was it
yeah,
pretty?
yeah, because you know South High was on the south side of Youngstown,
Okay,
East was on the east side, and Rand was on the north side.
okay,
So it was like territory. That was the big thing about, if you grew up on the south side, you couldn't wait to go to South and be a South High Warrior. And the same for all the other. Then there was another high school on the south side, on the upper south side, that was Wilson, but I wouldn't really consider them much of a rivalry.
right. So, like, say, guys that played at South and some guys that played at East. Did y'all know each other, or like
Uh, for
Youngstown?
me, I did, because you know, growing up in Youngstown, it was tough. We were poor, so when you poor, you move a lot. So I
Mhm.
lived on the east side, I lived on the north side, and I lived on the south side. So
Right.
I was familiar with a lot of those guys, because I went to elementary school with a lot of those guys, and middle school with a lot of those guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You ever play any teams from Erie, PA?
yeah. I remember team Erie Tech. That was the team, and I remember a quarterback named Mo Troop. I remember chasing him, trying to sack him, and we were playing at South, and he was eluding me.
So, yeah, because I know some of the guys from Erie Tech gonna see this. They talk about playing Youngstown South and have some good games with y'all.
Yeah, yeah, we had some good games against that Erie Tech team.
Yeah. So when you look back, growing up in Youngstown, who were some of the dudes, man? Every town got they legends, man. Who were some of the legends
Uh,
that before you played or while you was playing? Who are some
mhm.
names that people?
Just coming up, man, you had guys like Tamron Smith. He went on being like a wonderful running back for YSU. Won several national championships at YSU. You had guys like Garcia Lane end up playing in the NFL. You had guys, man, uh, Miles Davison. We had a guy that I remember, you know, just because his name was familiar, Bill Lankitis, playing
Uh-huh.
in the NFL. You had a lot of guys, you know, come through Youngstown that actually made it to the NFL house, even though how small Youngstown was. You know, at one point, like per capita, our percentage of guys, you know, was top in the country. So
Right,
this
right,
we have a really rich area when it comes to football.
right. So Nate, you go through your career, man. You have a good successful high school career. What was the recruiting process for you like back then?
You know, me being an offensive lineman, and I'm only 6 foot, maybe. You know, that's why I say 6 foot. You know, I really always like measure up to going to those bigger schools. You know, I did get recruited by Akron and Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I actually went on an overnight visit to IUP, and the coach, the dad Signetti, was like, "I love your mechanics, but you just don't got the
The
measurables."
measurables,
Yeah,
right.
so I'm like, that's cool. So one particular day, as a short gentleman came, and he had his rings on his finger, all these
Mm.
rings, and he had a real nasally voice, and his name was Scott Reniger. He was the officer lineman for Westminster College. He was like, if you come here, I'm gonna guarantee you're gonna be playing for a national championship. And coming from South, you know, my sophomore year we went 0-9. My
Uh-huh.
junior year we went 4-6, and my senior year we went 3-7. So I didn't really, never really like knew what winning was. You know, I
Right.
knew the game of football, but far as put the total team together and playing to, you know, with other guys that had good ability, I didn't really experience that until and he said, you know, I can win it, possibly win the championship. I was like, and I was hooked in.
Right,
I was
right,
hooked in. So
right.
yeah.
So Nate, you think if you would have been 6'6", what would the story have been like, you think?
I think, to be truthful, you know, not trying to toot my own horn, I may have probably played in NFL.
Mhm.
You know, there was an award that in this area, it was a Mack Truck Award. And then it was two guys that was ahead of me. One guy's name was Corey Stringer. He was went to Warren Harding, ended up playing for Ohio State, went on and played and started for Minnesota Vikings. He ended up passing away, and then a guy named Matt Imps from West Branch. And those were some top quality offensive linemen. They ahead of me, but I was right there on that list of being one of the top linemen in this area. So, but if I had the intangibles like Corey and them other guys, I definitely probably would have been playing at a bigger school.
Yeah, because I remember your feet. It was like you was a running back. This feet.
Hey, listen, that's what I was there. I was a dancer, dancing in show choir. I was multi-talented. Like I said, I just wasn't a football cat.
Right. So when you get to Westminster, did you notice any difference? Like, what differences did you notice between the college game and the high school game?
Man, it was definitely faster, and like you said, you pretty much everyone had the same, caliber of talent, and you had to really work hard to separate yourself from that. I was a freshman, and I think at the time we had like 4 or 5 offensive tackles. 3 of them were seniors. So I was like, ain't no way I was going to get on to crack the depth chart my freshman year. But I learned from those guys, and I learned that you had to work hard in order for you to be a part of being chosen to be a starter in college. But you had to work for it.
Right. Was it a more mental aspect of the game too?
It was mental and physical, because I remember, for getting first scrimmage, we had a blue and white scrimmage. And I mean, it was a freshman linebacker. I remember he was my guy, Ryan Ball. I went to go block him, and he put a forearm across my face, man. My eyes crossed. So you had to bring it, because guys who, like I said, was equally talented. So It definitely was a difference in far as speed and size. It wasn't just mentally, because you had to learn a new system, but you had to be physically prepared to endure what you had to go through.
Right. I think my first memory was when I think we went out in helmets and shoulder pads one day, like maybe the first practice. And in high school, that means you just going like half speed. So we ran power off tackle, and I go out there, and defensive end came down screaming. You know what I mean? Yeah, I said this is a difference here.
It is.
So when did you end up starting? Your fresh sophomore year?
My sophomore year, yeah. I was fortunate to start my sophomore year. I remember getting called in the office by Coach Reniger. He was like, I'm picking you to start, and I want you to be my left tackle. You're gonna be the blind side of the quarterback. So it was an honor to, it was a learning experience though, but it was an honor to be picked as a sophomore to be a starter in college.
Right. Now, did y'all go to the national championship that year?
Yeah. It was a strange year, because we wasn't no synthetic field that we played on. It was grass. So, but it was, for some reason, it rained almost every game that year. It was a muddy season, but we ended up making it to the championship off of excellent special teams play. We was a team where we really didn't have an explosive offense. We were still trying to find our identity on offense. We was a fullback oriented, I formation, pro set. So we wasn't really, chucking the ball around, and but we was effective at running the ball, but wasn't as good as passing the ball yet. But when we got to that championship and we faced Pacific Lutheran, the quarterback, his name is Mark Wheatley. He lit us up for like 435 yards in the air. So he opened our eyes, and he opened our coaches' eyes what you had to do to take ourselves to that next level.
Right. So the next year pretty much had a lot of guys coming back, right? I mean,
a
lot of guys coming back. Was the expectation to get back to the championship the next year? Did you feel
that it was like Coach Nicholson, who was the head coach, he talked about a standard. And us experiencing being playing the national championship, some guys never been on a plane. We flew all the way out to Portland, Oregon, and that was where the championship was, and experiencing that, in that level, and we understand the standard what we had to play in order for us to be successful.
Right. What were some big moments that year? I mean, what about like that Tiffin game? I remember just that.
Wow. The first time we played Tiffin, we were up 19-0 at halftime. We were pretty much going to the motions, and then we come out halftime, and they scored 22 unanswered points, and we were down to like 39 seconds left. And I remember, we got the ball back, and Sean O'Shea dropped back, I can't remember who made the first grab. Might have been Tim
I think
McNeil.
Tim McNeil made both
Made
catches.
the first grab, and he got us probably like a little past midfield. And the last play of the game, Sean O'Shea dropped back. Darren Coates, who was the starting fullback that time, he came over to help because actually my man got off of me. But Darren Coates, he had my back, and he hit Tim McNeil in the end zone and we ended up winning that game on the last play of the game. And actually, I know the quarterback who was the quarterback at Tiffin.
Okay.
His name is Sean McKinney, and I always make fun of him because he was like, "Yeah, man, I never beat Westminster, and we had an opportunity to beat y'all, and y'all pulled it out at the end."
Right.
But that was definitely a memorable moment.
So getting to the championship, what was your? Take me back to that, man. How did it feel to win that? How did it feel when you to win the
Wow, to actually to get back and to play the same team that beat you 50-20 the year before, and to beat them, we were just more physical. We understood, like I said, the standard that Coach Nicholson set before us, and to win that game was like, you reached like the ultimate goal in college football. At that level, yes, NAIA, but NAIA is like any other division. And then we were fortunate to get back and win that game, and that was just one of the best feelings in the world to be at that level where can be always for the rest of your life a national champion.
Right. So you were also named All-American. So I mean,
yeah.
How did that feel to be
recognized for, as an offensive lineman, you understand it's never about you. It's always about making others shine. And we had a running back, his name was Andy Black. He rushed for 1,982 yards. And we wish we would have known, because we would make sure he had those other 18, to get him 2,000, to say that I blocked for a back who had over 2,000 rushing yards. But just to be named an All-American, that was an awesome feeling, on top of being, a national champion.
Right.
To be recognized for the work you put in.
I'm gonna throw a few coaches' names out there for you. Scott Renninger.
Man, that's my man. That's my man. 50 grand. If you look at his stature, you'll never think or thought that he was the offensive line coach. I think Scooter might be 5'6", maybe on a good day. I mean, at the time, he probably was like 185 pounds, but he was like a lightning in a bottle. He didn't pull no punches when it comes to us. He helped us be men. He helped us to go from boys to men, to understand that the toughness you had to endure, or the toughness you had to have to endure the struggles of being an offensive lineman in college. Now, I give credit to him of just being, a leader among men. It wasn't about his stature, it was his heart, and he truly cared for us.
Right. Gene Nicholson,
man, he just remember just him giving the opportunity to be a starter as a young player in his program, and trusting in me to protect the backside of his quarterback. And he always, just the little things like how we're to speak. Come from Youngstown, we didn't always have a proper grammar, how we talk, and he always corrected us. Remember him always correcting us to be well versed and being able to dictate what you want, and not using the ends and all that slang and stuff. So I really appreciate him for that.
Yeah, I remember he used to ask me, he'd say, "Mo, how you doing today?" I would say, "I'm good." And he would say, "No, Mo, as well."
You well.
And then by my senior year, he would say, "How you doing, Mo?" I'd say, "I'm doing well, coach." So he had changed it.
Yeah.
What about Dar Huey?
Dar Huey, man, even though he wasn't my position coach, he always showed me love. He was one of my academic advisors. Because I wasn't in education early on before I switched my major, and he always looked out for me, always cared for me, even to this day. Because I was, we just had a 30th reunion of honoring the '94 championship team, and he was there, and still, and after we was there, talk with the guys. A day later, I get a text. My wife was there. She was like, I enjoy seeing you and your bride. So he just always reaches out. He always sends texts of showing that he still cares about us, 30 years later.
Right. So when Coach Nicholson used to say standard, what did you think he meant? What was he trying to convey to the team when he would say that?
Basically, the way you play and how you play it, and play it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
There was no other, and it taught me, even to this day, how I pour into the kids that I coach, I'm involved in. You just don't be out there to be out there. Be out there and do it the right way.
Right, right. So after you're now, I read you were a member of the Titan Hall of Fame now.
Yeah.
Tell me what that means when you got the call that you were going to be inducted in the Titan Hall of Fame.
Man, that was an honor to for someone to recognize you as being one of the best to ever play at that college.
Mm-hmm.
My name, I always say, my name is in stone. I could never be taken away from the work I put in, coming from inner city Youngstown and, and the team that didn't win and was introduced to a culture that we did was normally win. I didn't have a losing record now. One year, even though we struggled my senior year, when Andy went down, we still won. We still had a winning record, and
Right.
it really, was an honor to be a part of that. To say that you were one of the best to ever come through these doors.
Mm-hmm. So now you're in the coaching yourself, right? So
Yeah,
about that a
I'm
little
kind
bit.
of stepped away a little bit this year. For the past 4 years before this year, I was the freshman head coach over at Austintown Fitch, and I take that as a badge of honor because it was my job to prepare the young Falcons coming to the program, the standard in which the varsity coaches set forth.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time of me being the head coach, I never had a losing record. And we played some tough teams over in Ohio. We played St. Ignatius, we played the Maslins, we played Walsh Jesuit. We played some tough teams over here, and I was pretty successful against being as a head coach. Against those teams, teaching the standard that I was taught at Westminster. This year I kind of stepped back because my job I have, and I'm not able to get there. I'm still on the sidelines Friday nights with the varsity because 90% of those kids that was playing
They
Friday
come
night
to
I
you.
coached.
Right.
In some shape, form, or fashion. So I'm still connected that way, and so it's always just been an honor to be able to pour in what was poured into me into young folks that I'm involved with now.
What was it like to be a part of a program like? Because I mean, y'all had a pretty successul program over there. What is it like to be a part of that at the high school level?
And it's wonderful because you're giving kids, like pouring into kids that things that you didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to down my coaches at South, but they had their limitations. But I
Right.
was able to be a part of, like I said, a winning standard. So
Mm-hmm.
I understood what it took to be a winner, and I'm able to pour that into the young kids that I'm involved in. That standard I've learned over at Westminster.
Right. Did your own sons? Did they end up playing? Did they play college ball or play football?
My actually my oldest son, he started out, he played at Westminster for first year, but then he felt that football wasn't for him. We understood that. Now he's in nursing school,
Okay.
and my youngest son, he actually was on scholarship at Tiffin University,
Oh,
and
okay.
he played there a couple of years until he had an unfortunate accident. But but he's a graduate of Tiffin and with a major in homeland security and in criminal justice. So that's something that me going to college and graduating. That's a standard that I learned from there, which I poured in my kids. But I was the first one in my immediate family to graduate from college, and now that's a
Right.
standard that my sons have also.
Right. Right. So when you look back at your career as a player and just as a man in general, what are some things you are proud of about yourself?
Uh, just coming from inner city Youngstown and being able to go to a small rural Amish town over in New Wilmington, PA, learning really expand on the knowledge of football, learning that standard, playing at the highest level you can play at that level, and becoming a national champion. And then when I was done, a few years later, being inducted in the Hall of Fame, being and saying that you're one of the best to ever do it here at Westminster, just accomplishing the goals, and being from the inner city, parents separated, but still overcame the odds. I wasn't a statistic coming out of Youngstown. You black inner city, you're not supposed to succeed. I'm not saying I'm not rich, but I'm rich with good people around me. I'm rich in life. I'm able to have influence, positive influence on people, even to this day.
Right, right. I'm still waiting for that invite for Thanksgiving dinner. One event, man.
He
So,
come part. Hey, that's not what dude I work with. He hit me up. He was like, "Hey man, can I come over and get the everything sandwich the day after?"
right, right. So, hey, it's before we wrap up, man, it's a kid coming up in Youngstown right now, probably, man. Some kids coming up in the inner city Youngstown in the same tough streets that you grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good head on their shoulders, and they want to do something in life, man. What's your advice to them type of kids right now?
Ah, man, just stay away from the negativity. That we live in a different age with the social media and kids being influenced by crazy stuff they see on social media. Don't allow your focus to be pulled away by foolishness. Keep your head down, stay positive, and when things don't go your way, don't drop your head. Stay focused, keep grinding, and you'll work your way through it.
Well, Nate, man, hey, man, it was a pleasure as always to talk to you, man. Thanks for taking your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you too, brother. Appreciate it.
Once again, everybody, this was Nate Armstrong. He's from Youngstown, Ohio. He's a Hall of Fame football player from Westminster College, two-time All-American. Uh, Once again, this is Mo, and I'm from Unsung Gridiron Legends Facebook page. If you'd like to be interviewed, please hit me up. Thanks, Nate. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Mo.
All right, have a good one.
You too.